Cat Oriel, a reporter with Forbes Breaking News. Today I'm here with Ashwin Ramaswami, who's running for Georgia State Senate in District 48. Ashwin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Kat.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got to where you are today.
Sure thing. So I'm Ashwin. I grew up in Johns Creek, Georgia, which is in this district. I'm the child of immigrants. I was born, raised, and educated in the district in public schools. And I decided to run because I wanted to make sure that others would have the same opportunities as I had. After growing up in a district, I was able to go to amazing education. I was able to go to Stanford and also at Georgetown for law. I was able to work on election security, cybersecurity work, and I just want to give back to my community. I think recently we've seen folks in the state have been cutting down on essential services, investment in things like education. And we're also seeing folks who are trying to undermine democracy. So my goal, like coming back and running, is that I really wanted to make sure we have a voice for the folks who are able to make sure that we're able to have a robust democratic institutions, but also the kinds of support and investment we need for the future of our communities.
So I did read a little bit about your background and your resume and everything that you've studied. So how did you go from computer science to law and then from law school to where you are today? Did you always know that you wanted to go into politics, or is it just something that you were recently inspired to do?
I think I was always interested in the news and see what was going on. I've always been from a very young age, I've been a technologist. I'm one of those people from a very young age. I used to code for fun when I'm back in school. So I studied computer science, but I soon realized that working at a tech company wasn't really for me. I really wanted to do something where there was a bigger need for someone with my kind of skill set, which is why I ended up doing law school, ended up working in the federal government in cybersecurity. And there I really felt like my work had a bigger mission and purpose. So that's why I decided to go that route. And it was really after January 6th and the people trying to overturn the election, which made me really think about going into politics, because I realized that you may have the most talented people in government working on policy, but if the politicians are supposed to back them up, if they just go and undermine their work by spreading lies about what they did, we can't do our work properly. So that's when I decided to be a voice and enter politics in that way.
Well, speaking about January 6th and the 2020 election, your competitor, current State Senator Shawn Still, has been indicted in Fulton County along with President Trump and more than a dozen others for their participation in a fake electors plot. So what has it felt like on the ground in Georgia, especially with the trial that I just mentioned and also Rudy Giuliani, his defamation trial? Do you feel like voters feel empowered or, hopeless about the election security in that country and in the state in general?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I think we have really dedicated civil servants who are working to keep our elections secure, whether it's at the state level or in the federal level. And I think the problem is that when you have people like Giuliani coming and undermining that work by spreading falsehoods, saying that, oh, this isn't secure. So I think voters are, I think that does cause a bit of confusion and also a bit of, it's like government can't work for me because even if they do the right thing, other politicians come and try to undermine that work. So I think that's definitely something I would want to work on, is making sure that we do respect the work of the civil servants, of the people who know actually how election security works, and not just say things because it's politically expedient. But also note though, like a lot of voters, I think democracy is really important, but in addition, there's so many other issues that our democracy deals with. For example, issues like healthcare, investing in education, and I think all of these issues also are really important to voters as well. So we should make sure, I think, we're not only safeguarding our democracy, but we are also addressing the biggest problems that are facing voters today.
Yeah, and besides the lawsuit around the election, what are the other qualities and the issues that you feel like the state senator that you're running against, Senator Still, what do you think he has or hasn't done on these issues that makes him unfit to continue serving in the position?
Yeah, I think one big thing, if you look at Georgia right now, we have a $11 billion surplus in terms of budget. That's billion with a B. What that means is that we've been, under a GOP controlled legislature. It's just been budget cuts after budget cuts, where we're not paying our civil servants enough, so we can't retain that kind of talent. We're not investing in transportation, healthcare, expanding Medicaid, or even like paying our teachers more. As the state is growing and getting more investment, we're not having a commensurate amount of state investment to actually make that, to keep up with that. And I think Shawn Still he's not shown any interest in doing those kinds of investments. He's just been going along with what the party tells him. And I understand fiscal conservatism. It's always good to save money, but at some point we're paying taxes to the state, and the state has to invest that back in our futures. So I think that's one big thing which makes him unfit for office. We need people who actually look to the future and don't just look to talking points from their party in terms of how we can invest in Georgians.
Mm-hmm. And what would your other legislative priorities be if you were to be elected?
Yeah, I think one big priority would be expanding Medicaid. We want to make sure that those who can't afford healthcare are able to get the healthcare they need. And this is something where if we do it, we would be able to get a lot of federal money coming into Georgia. It's something where Republicans have obstinately refused to do because they don't want to work with people in the White House. But I think if you have money that you're able to use to help others, we should take it. I would also support additional funding of public schools, education. We need to make sure we pay our teachers a livable wage. Teachers are the reason why our communities are so strong in terms of people are able to get jobs, do things like that. But we need to make sure we're paying them more. And I think what we're seeing now is funding is being potentially diverted over to private schools. And the job of the state for public schools is to make sure we have an education that works for all. So that would be one other area for me as well. And finally, it would be protecting reproductive rights as well. We need to make sure Georgia does not go backwards on those kinds of issues, and that we do preserve those rights for everyone as well.
Mm-hmm.